Hello, Mixtresses and Mixters. This is Mixtress Ray. You're watching Mixtress Video, and I'm doing a video that I've done pretty recently, but I am going to do it again today because the last one, my camera angle was really weird and unsettling, and like I noticed it, but also people commented on it. Plus, I am a person that I'm still kind of like figuring out. Oh no, I just broke my match. I'm still kind of figuring out what decks work for me and don't work for me. So several decks have gone out of my collection since the last Tarot Deck 2020 collection. I would ideally only like to make one of these videos a year, but since it was such a weird angle, because I had all my decks stacked up and I had the tripod on the side of the table with all the decks stacked up, so it just looked really weird. So hopefully this will be a better angle, even though now I have to deal with the tripod is right here, but that's fine. We can handle it. So this is going to be, these are all of my decks in no particular order. They're all stacked up here, so I'm going to actually count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I have 23 decks. I have 3 Kickstarter decks that I should be receiving in the next few months. Other than that, I don't have any current plans to buy any more tarot decks, but you know, you never know. So these are in no particular order. This one is called Gorgonz Tarot. And it is one that's pretty new to my collection. It is my cheapest deck. It only cost $10, including shipping. And it's a pretty straight up, like it's the black and white, pretty straight up Rider-Waite-Smith knockoff. And I really like it. It's just, it's kind of simple and freeing. I don't know. It feels like sweet to me. I am very much, as you'll see looking at my collection, I am very much into like the fantasy decks. Okay, now I have to figure out where I'm going to put all of these. I actually do not know for sure. Okay, well, sure. That's great that I don't have a solution for that. I'll just put everything on the floor. Why not? It's relatively clean in here. Okay, next we have Halloween Tarot. This is the one I keep in my purse most of the time. It is just a really sweet, cheesy little, this is like playing card size. I like using the ones in a 10 for my purse. Imps are wands, pumpkins are pentacles, bats are swords. Trying to get to a cup, and ghosts are cups. And I guess I can point out the alterations that I've done to the decks. Gorgonz Tarot. The only thing I've done with that is edge it in black. Halloween Tarot, I have edged in this sort of like fuchsia. It has faded quite a bit. I have had this one for almost 2 years. And it is most of the year it's in my purse. Sometimes I'll switch it out. I have a Centennial 10 as well. Sometimes I'll switch it out with that. Again, these are in no particular order. This is my Marigold Tarot. I have 2 copies of this. I didn't bring them both out, but I have one that's edged in black, which is this one, and then I have one that's edged in gold, and this is one of my top 5 favorite decks. This is the one that if I were going to say I have a soul deck, this is the one that would be that deck for me. like the style of it. It's a 3-color deck. It's just black, white, and gold. As you can see on the back of the box, it just says 78 card tarot deck rooted in life, death, and gold. The symbolism is really well thought out, and the guidebook goes into the descriptions of the symbolism, which I really like. Next, we have another skeleton deck, the Santa Muerte Tarot. This is one that, like, I still kind of feel like I'm not I can't completely wrap my head around this one, but this is not one that I would get rid of. This is definitely like a permanent in my collection. So far, everything I've shown you, I guess I should mention that as well. Gorgonz Tarot is new enough to me that I don't know if I will ultimately keep it forever. But Marigold is a forever deck, Halloween Tarot is a forever deck, and this Santa Muerte is definitely a forever deck. I have not done any alterations to this one. And so far, everything I've shown you is still available. I will let you know. I don't think I actually have anything that's out of print, as far as I know. Children of Litha is next. This is another fantasy deck. This is like, maybe if Disney weren't evil. That's what this deck is. A lot of animal energy in this deck. A lot of diversity. This is one that is independently published, but it is still in print. There's a lot of, as I call it, internal consistency in this deck. Like each suit in the deck has a particular type of animal, like it's all sea creatures in the cups. And it's a certain season in each suit. There's also a certain amount of color coding to like the borders in this deck. All of the major arcana are like shapeshifters. The minor arcana are all, it's all woodland creatures in the pentacles. It's all birds and the swords. And this deck it definitely is on my top 10. It would probably be in my top 5 if the cardstock wasn't that like rose petal type cardstock, which is pretty to look at, but it's really hard to shuffle. And this one did come in, it comes edged in black. I believe she had one at one point that came edged in gold, but I think that's sold out now. I'm not sure. It's her website. Ooh. Is her website on her box? I don't think so. But it's just, I guess here's her information. Alexandria Huntington. So you can just look that up to find the deck. It's relatively well priced. It's not a super expensive indie deck. I've had that one for about 1.5 years now. Next we have Wild Unknown. This is the first edition. The first edition is sold out. You can still find it on like eBay and stuff. It's not outrageously expensive for an out of print deck. I got lucky with this one. I got it for $15 on eBay. Someone was just selling it. This is the back. Of course, this one is, if you get, you know, like the 3rd edition, which I think is the one that's out now, it's 95% the exact same imagery. It has different card backings now, but I really prefer the backings on this first edition, so I was happy to get my hands on it. And this deck is, you know, very popular, so you probably don't need a flip through of this deck, but it's, I like how raw it is. You know, it's very emotionally expressive line drawings. I think this is a very important deck in my journey of tarot, and it's still one of my top 5 decks, although I don't reach for it that much in the last 6 months or so. Next, this is just what I keep. This beautiful box is what I keep my Smith Waite Rider Tarot. This is like an 80s copy, one of the yellow boxes with the plaid backs. And it's got really great, like, papery cardstock. It's really, really awesome to shuffle. I love it. But just the regular Rider-Waite Smith, that's the system that I primarily learned from. So I like having a nice vintage copy of it. And you can actually get, if it interests you, if you kind of want a vintage copy of one of these, like plaid backs from the 80s, they're still pretty readily available on eBay. I got this one for like 30 bucks. So you can still find like one with really nice cardstock and Pixie's original lettering and all that stuff for pretty cheap. Next is Modern Witch Tarot. Right now I have 3 copies of this. I have one that's trimmed and edged in hot pink, one that's the limited edition version, and then this one, which is the German language version that I just got. And this one's my favorite, actually. So it has German titles, of course, since this is the German version, but it's like thinner and more flexible than the US version of Modern Witch. And it's much easier to shuffle. I'm very, very happy with it. And I have a friend that speaks German, so I'm going to have her teach me how to pronounce all of these words. Very happy with this. This is definitely one of my top 5 tarot decks of all time. And I like that the German version, I really like the box for the German version, how it's just like this little magnetic box. And next we have That 90s Tarot. This box I have distressed and added like the label maker on the side. This is one that you get from Christy Prokopiak's website. So it's an independently published deck, but it is pretty reasonable. It was like 45 bucks or something. And I have edged it in teal. And this is a pop culture deck. So the minors are all like Pip, and the court cards in the major arcana are people from pop culture, mostly like 90s or early 2000s figures. Some of the choices that she made, I would have done differently. Camera's having a hard time focusing on this particular deck for some reason. But some of them I really like I like Björka's Wheel of Fortune. I've got to show you my very favorite. I don't think we've flipped past it yet. And they're reasonably color-coded. Like all the wands are purple backgrounds. The cups are like this sort of like grungy green background. This is my favorite. Fiona Apple is the Hermit. Y'all know I love my Fiona. And then there are 2 extra cards. There's a Mariah Carey, I don't know her card, and then one that's like Luke Perry. These swords are all this like sort of teal blue. I love Nancy as the Tower card. How perfect is that? And then the pentacles are all this earthy green. So it's actually, I think it's a pretty charming deck. I like to use it for pick a card readings especially, and sometimes it comes out for client readings, but other than that, I really don't use it that often. But it's one that like I've never really thought about getting rid of. I like that I don't really have any like Marseille Pip style decks. I don't have very many, so I like having that one. This one is Sasarai Bito, and this one you get on Stasia Burrington's Etsy shop. And it is still in print, I believe. Like every once in a while it goes out, but she usually does another printing pretty quickly, I think. So this one is a really expressive and emotional deck. I kind of put it in the same category as Wild Unknown, because it's, even though this one has people and it's a different art style and it's much more colorful, I just get like a similar emotional reaction to this deck. This one is great for client readings. It's weird how that works. Like if you're another tarot reader, I'm sure you understand. This is one of my favorite Six of Pentacles cards. There's like some decks that just like are really great for anybody and they work so well with client readings, and then for some reason you just don't use them for yourself. Like I do use this one for myself every once in a while, but mostly I use this one for client readings. And it came edged. It's like that mirrored gold finish. Pretty backs. Next we have one that this is one of my oldest ones. This is one of like the first 5 that I got at the beginning of 2019 when I first started collecting. This is Moonchild. And I still really love this one. I just think it's really pretty. I like I just like this. It's very like forgiving and sweet. Like if you just need a hug and you need some love, this deck will give it to you. It's not, I mean, I don't have any tarot decks that I feel like I can't get answers from or the truth from. Like they all have that capability, but this deck is definitely going to give you that information with a gentle hand. And it came already edged in this gorgeous like muted gold. I like this kind of, if like I don't really like gold edging on cards, but if you're gonna do it, I like this kind because it already looks sort of antiqued. When it starts to rub off, it's not as noticeable. And next we have one of my most recent acquisitions. I just got this one like a couple weeks ago, Nightmare Before Christmas, which is kind of funny that I even have this one because I'm not that into the Nightmare Before Christmas. And I have edged this one in purple, just like with a Crayola marker. It was kind of a neon purpley color. And the suits are renamed in this deck. Presents are pentacles, candles are wands, needles are swords, and potions are cups. So this is one that, like I said, it's new to my collection, so I still don't feel like I know it well enough to know if it's going to stick around. My instinct is to say it will stick around because it's just cute, and I love Abigail Larson's art style. So I'm sure I will keep this one. I'm feeling like I'm going to really enjoy this deck about this time of year and leading up to Christmas. I think this is going to be like my Christmas deck. And I don't have a lot of like cute decks, and I would call this a cute deck. So even though it's kind of, some people might think it's creepy, like this is my kind of cute. So I really like all the weird little figures in it. And I like that it's like slightly more Pip-like. We're in like the major arcana here. Let's get out of the majors. So many majors. But I like the sort of like more Pip style. Now that I really know tarot better, I appreciate that, especially when you're like doing a spread. Like when you're, you know, looking at a bunch of cards together, it's nice to have like simpler cards juxtaposed against the more complicated like major arcana and court cards, so you can see the difference in like the bigger and smaller themes at a glance. Okay, let's see. Next we have, I think it's Dark Goddess Tarot that I keep in this bag. Yes, it is. This is also a newer one to my collection, and I'm realizing this one, it's like all the suits are renamed for the elements. So wands are fire, air is, yeah, you know, air is swords, earth is pentacles. This one is not one that I will be using for readings. This is one that I pull out a lot for. I have like, you know, a monthly card that I keep out on my little tarot table, and I'll pull that card out as my like monthly card. I will use this deck in client readings as the top of my Ankh spread, which is kind of the messages from your ghost guides and goddesses. I will use this deck for that card in that position specifically, because that way it's like, not only are you getting your message from the ghost guides and goddesses, like if you were to pull this card, it would be your message is the Judgment card, but you would also get a goddess. So your message is from Persephone, and it's the Judgment card. So I like to use that. This deck I just use in that very specific context so far. And this is one that I've had like less than a month. And the guidebook, you guys, the guidebook is really special. If you don't want to buy this deck, it's probably like $30 or so, mass market. There's an app for it that's like $3 or $4. I believe it's available. I would assume it's available on iPhone. I know it's available on Android because that's what I have. And you can buy the app that includes the full text of the guidebook. And so you can, you know, have a daily draw that way on your app, on your smartphone, and then you can just read. The guidebook is fucking fantastic. Like every time I read an entry for the guidebook, it's really special. I don't know. I just really like the way that it's written. I didn't like the box though, so I got rid of the box. Because it was just one of those really big ones and it was kind of clunky and whatever. Anyway. Next, this is Vision Quest Tarot. I keep in this little corduroy bag here. This is another one that I like. I really don't use it that often. Every once in a while it comes out for pick-a pile readings for you guys, or for my Patreon, my monthly full moon readings. I'll get this one out for that. The suit names are renamed just like in Dark Goddess, with just using the elements. And there's keywords in the minors. Some of them are just so gorgeous. Like this. Oh, I love this. I really like this deck a lot. I actually don't even mind the keywords. This one, as far as alterations, I have trimmed it because the borders were kind of obtrusive, and there were borders on the back, and I hate borders on the back of cards. So I trimmed it, And yeah, that's all I did. I didn't edge it. But I do really appreciate this deck a lot, even though I don't use it that much for personal readings. But every time I get it out for you guys or for clients in general, it's very powerful. So that's Vision Quest Tarot. Next is Moon Power Tarot. Keeping this back because I didn't like the box. It was just one of those like make playing card type boxes. This one is, sometimes it's like a straight up Rider-Waite-Smith knockoff like this card, but most of the time this is just a real fucking weird alien deck. It's like gothic alien girl energy, and I love it. It's witchy vibes too. This one is one of my more expensive decks. I got it as a gift from my mom, so I didn't have to pay for it, but it's on Etsy. Just look up Moon Power Tarot on Etsy. I believe it is, actually, the last time I looked it up, it wasn't in print. I have my computer right here. Let me pause and like check and see if it's in print again. Oh, okay. So as of this taping, and I will likely be uploading this pretty quickly, she has a pre-order going, so she's doing another printing of it. So you can find it on Etsy right now. And she's saying that she's going to be shipping out around November 12th. I love this Nine of Cups. So you can still get this one, actually. You can do a pre-order for it. So it should be coming out in the next couple weeks. Next is Tarot of the Cat People. This is my my oldest deck in my collection right now. I do have Egyptian Tarot, but it's not complete, so I didn't even get that one out because my dog took it out in the yard when I was in high school. That's my actual oldest deck, but I did not recover all of the cards. So this one's just a really cool, like, fantasy deck. Kind of 70s. Came out in 1984, I believe. Yeah. And it's just really cool. It's kind of diverse, but it's also like a fantasy kingdom. And there's cats in every card. Look at that. Look at those little babies. It's just cute. Have not done any alterations to this one, because I don't like edging white bordered cards. And next is Dark Angels Tarot. This one I've edged in black. And this one has color coding of the suits. So all the cups have red borders, all the pentacles have green borders, the majors have gold borders, the wands have this sort of like slate gray color, and then the swords have blue. This one's just like a photo manipulation, like late 90s goth aesthetic deck. No diversity in this deck, but it's got Robert Smith as the King of Cups. So I find this deck nostalgic, even though it's not that old. It's only like 10 years old, but I find it nostalgic anyway because it reminds me of something. It's just like instantly getting this deck made me feel like I'd had it for the last 30 years. It's ridiculous. Like, it felt like a deck I'd had since high school, even though I haven't. This one's the Spirit Halloween Tarot deck that you can get. And it's actually kind of cool. So each card has like a character. So like Nine of Cups is Kraken, and it'll have the astrological association on it. So Nine of Cups is always a Pisces card. Eight of Cups is also a Pisces card. So it's interesting. Like, it's very busy artwork. I foresee myself getting this deck out for like pick-a-pile readings around Halloween time, and that might be it. But I don't know. I think it's a charming deck. Next we have Hush Tarot. This is also a recent acquisition. I just got this for my birthday, which was October 3rd. If you want to send me presents next year. I'm just kidding. It's, as I've said before, it's a kind of an inconsistent deck in some ways. It's, sometimes I feel like the cards were not actually, the artwork was not actually created for that particular card, although I might be wrong. I did have to add my own pubic hair to a few cards just because I had to for my own ability to use this deck. It's got lots of animal energy. It's got lots of like decay energy. It's actually like the coloring of this deck is very November to me, so I will probably be using it a lot this month. It's interesting. It's, in some ways, the energies that I feel like it deals with psychologically are similar to Nicoletta Ciccoli Tarot, although I couldn't really work with that one. But this one, I feel like I'll probably be able to work with better. I edged it in like some different weird shades of brown. Okay, next is Mystic Mondays. This is one that like I got back in 2019, and I was so mad about like the cardstock quality that I got rid of it, but I've missed it. So I bought it again, and I got lucky. Like, the cardstock quality is not as bad as it was on the first. It's still pretty much the same, but a lot of the like errors are not present in this one. And I really appreciate this art. It's very like vaporwave. It's very simple. It's very easy to understand. I feel like this could be a good starter deck for you. If you like this artwork and you're starting out with tarot, I think this could be a good one to start with. Has this cool holographic edging on it. The guidebook is actually really helpful, which is another reason why I would recommend this as a starter deck. It's got like a full page for both the upright and reverse meanings, and it's very like simple and to the point. I don't think there are any spreads in here or anything. No, it just starts out talking about the cards, and it's just very like her whole, Grace Duong's whole intention with this deck is to create something that was accessible, like something that you could just pick up and start reading with, that doesn't have like a lot of esoteric meaning or arcane symbolism or anything like that, but it's, I don't know, it's a really nice deck. It's actually now one of my favorites, even though I kind of hated it the first time I got it. Next is Shadowscapes Tarot. I'm going to move the box aside because this box is huge. And this one is my like fairy deck. I at first erroneously, let me know if you guys have Shadowscapes and you found this to be true for you as well. When I first got this deck, I thought it was going to be like a warm hug, loving, sweet, kind of like nice wash kind of deck. But this deck actually packs a pretty serious punch. This deck actually has more depth to it than for some reason, I didn't think that I don't know why. I just thought, I guess because the images are so pretty, I thought this is going to be a hug deck, kind of like Moonchild. But this deck is actually pretty confrontational. In a good way. And this deck also is very opinionated about, like, who it comes out for. Like, I really can't use it for client readings most of the time. And part of that is because the artwork is so detailed that it's hard to use in client readings, because you want the imagery to be like pretty simple and easy to wrap your brain around with client readings, or I do anyway. So this one would be good for, like, this deck doesn't love being in spreads for the reason that it's, like, you know, kind of more complex artwork. But it's one of my very favorites. It's actually, I'm getting to know it better recently, even though I've had it almost 2 years now. But it's just recently decided to open up to me. I'll say it like that. And I edged it in like a light sort of periwinkle purple. Next is the one that's been in all my videos lately, Darkwood Tarot. This one is, if I had 2 soul decks, this would be the other one. This one and Marigold. I've only had this deck for, like, let's see, August, September, October, 3 months, but it's like the only deck I want to work with right now. It's a fantasy world, but it's a dark fantasy world. It's a good counterpart to Shadowscapes, actually. Whereas Shadowscapes is about, like, fairies and mermaids, this deck is witches and vampires. And this deck, it gets me. It just gets me. We have a relationship, me and this deck. I really, really love it. And I edged it in red. Very Christmassy, right? I keep it in a moss green bag, and the backings are like moss green, but I edged it in red. I wasn't going for Christmas colors, but that's how that went. Okay, one more. The 23rd in my collection, in no particular order, is Raven's Prophecy Tarot. This one's actually one of my most recent acquisitions too. In fact, it might be my most recent acquisition. I guess I received Nightmare Before Christmas in the mail after this one, but this is one that I just kind of like walked into the store one day. I edged it in orange and decided I wanted it. This one is, this is the most easy to read deck that I think I have. Because the symbolism is so simple, I just like immediately was working with it effortlessly. This is like also really great for spreads. It's really great for client readings, because for me, it's just so minimalistic that, like, just for example, like, say this is our reading right now. 6 of Swords, 3 of Wands, and 7 of Swords. And say we even have this one here. Like, you can use directionality. You can go with, the way that the cards are positioned. Like, if this was reversed, then this hand is upright, so this person's more direct. Yeah. This deck is very, very simple and very easy to read with. I was like doing readings for clients like within 24 hours of having this deck, and it was just effortless. I really like it a lot. And I was not drawn to it at all until suddenly I was at a bookstore and I went, you know what? Let's give it a try. And it really surprised me. I like it a lot. I haven't even read the guidebook yet because it's almost like I don't feel like I need the guidebook with this deck. It's just so simple and direct. So there it is. Those are my 23 tarot decks, my tarot deck collection as of November 2020. I hope that was enjoyable. I don't know. It feels weird to like do this kind of thing sometimes. Like, look at all the things that I have. I like to keep track of my collection and really like be mindful about what I have, and you know, keeping track of it and getting it all out and looking through it helps me do that. But it feels weird sometimes. Anyway, so thank you guys for watching. Bye.